It did, didn't it, against New Zealand?
Yeah. Hello, we're back after lunch. Well, we are, but the players aren't quite. Decent morning for England, who went into lunch one wicket down, that wicket being Dom Sibley on his debut. He hit a 4 off the first ball he faced, and then was a bit becalmed and eventually edged one to first slip. England went into lunch at 61 for 1 with Rory Bones on 35, and Joe Denley, who took an age to get off the mark, finally crunched one through the offside for 4. And I've been joined after lunch by the man who will be reading your tweets. It's the big man himself, Steve.
Good afternoon.
And playing your jingles, it's Tim.
Hello, hello, hello.
We hope you're still awake and or alive, delete as applicable. And just as soon as the players come out, we'll have some cricket to describe. Has anyone joined us on the Twitter sphere during the lunch interval?
Yeah, there's been a little bit, but they seem to have gone a little bit quiet and no one's updated. So, yeah, replying and replying and replying.
They speaking amongst themselves. We do allow it now
That's
and again.
perfect.
We've been watching a little bit of Australia and Pakistan. Australia, who won the toss there? Was it Pakistan won the toss?
I should have thought so. Yeah.
Decided to bat, and Pakistan saw off the opening salvos with a new ball. We're 24 for no wicket last time I looked, and so it's fair to say that the teams who have batted first are doing okay. Yeah, it's still early days in Brisbane. They've only played for 40 minutes. Still plenty of time for that to go wrong for Pakistan. As we're watching highlights of Graham Thorpe and possibly Nathan Astle in that bizarre game when they had a drop in pitch and New Zealand came close to getting about 450 to win, I seem to recall. When was that? What year would that have been?
2002.
There you go, 2008.
That was this one coming. 2002 it was.
Oh, right. And what did Astle make? A double hundred in the fourth innings?
250 odd, I think.
Yeah, in an incredibly short amount of time. It was an absolute batting paradise, wasn't it? It's like batting in a net. Now we're looking at some other previous tours of England tours of New Zealand and Tim Southey's sixth barrage.
Ryan Sidebottom's
hair was looking pretty remarkable in 2008, and we're up to 2013 now. What happened in 2013?
He's just in.
I don't know. We're watching
heroic rearguard actions, I think.
Who's that? Steve Harmison?
President
Pryor
doing something good.
Matty Pryor.
And as we come up to 2018, when England ignominiously were dismissed for 58?
60? 58?
With a pink ball.
Didn't Sidebottom take a hat-trick in New Zealand? They didn't show that. Seems to remember that.
I know he's one of as many England cricketers of recent vintage who I call by their fathers' names because I remember their fathers playing. Arnie Sidebottom, Chris Broad, David Bairstow et al. Anyway, we are about to resume after lunch, a little bit late actually, about 2 minutes late. I'm not sure what's going on there. They're obviously having a good lunch. So, still nobody on the Twitter sphere joined us?
No. Everyone having their tea break, their lunch break still.
Midnight feast.
And why not? We've munched through some chocolates and some jelly babies. Kindly supplied by Tim, thank you very much.
Keeping the energy levels up. Well, actually they're low, so getting the energy levels up.
We've got pictures.
We have pictures. The players about to take the field. The New Zealanders are having a little huddle before the start of the second session.
Not all of them. Last one.
Who's the last one?
Ross
Taylor. It looks like a sort of some kind of a prayer meeting, a revivalist prayer meeting. We're seeing the outskirts of Mount Maunganui. It's obviously a working port because there's some shed-like buildings there, but quite an attractive-looking hill. It reminds me of those adverts you see all over London for come to St Lucia, and they all show exactly the same picture of the same mountains or hills.
It must be awful because when you get there, everybody's in that same place, and the rest of the island's
empty. Is there anything else in
St
Lucia, I wonder? And they always show the same. I spent some time in Antigua in the winter, and the test match finished early. I was booked in for a week, and it finished after
As we're rather
on the
expecting
third
this
day,
game
and there's not much to do in Antigua apart from sit on a beach.
and drink a little bit of some nice cocktail to drink and beer.
There is a museum in St John's, but that takes about 15 minutes. Much of it's
Is that walking
dominated
fast?
by prehistory and Viv Richards. Anyway, the players are walking out to the middle. Quite tardy,
Ambling,
it's
isn't
fair to say. What time is it? It's 43 minutes
I'm making
after the
is
hour.
it quarter to the restart? Huh?
It shouldn't be. It should be at 12:40 our time.
Oh, right.
Well, New Zealand obviously runs at a different pace. We're seeing an aerial view of the ground and 6 large light towers. Most grounds seem to manage with 4, but they've got 6. And for a ground that's called an oval, it looks
Very
almost
round.
exactly round. Anyway, first over after lunch will be bowled by Tim Southey, who has a test run-up, which I'm pretty sure was banned about 25 years ago.
Well, the good
Can't do
news
test
is
run-ups.
we were talking about it. Messi Jez has just tweeted in, "Morning all, welcome back to Test cricket. Watching 2 tests simultaneously
Well, you're 2 hours and 40
and
minutes late.
listening to Gorillas. Life
Messi
is
Jez.
good again."
And more to the point, you've missed out on the GPL. There have been lots of entries and you have none of them. So if it goes, you only have yourself to blame. Southey, whose jingle we shall play,
Here he is.
will be opening the bowling.
It's only a whimsical motion to fly with Tim Southey tonight. I probably won't fly with Tim Southey again.
I like that jingle. Our 2 jingles for Tim Southey, which aren't made by Mog, one relating to his teeth and the other one relating to an incident with the stewardess on an airliner. So we do find some of the more unusual aspects of players to discuss. As Southey will be bowling to Rory Burns. Southey's right arm over the wicket, and it's a full ball which Burns blocks up to mid-off, no run.
Shall we hear from Rory Burns?
Why not?
Why not?
He's got the drive of a champion from Surrey. His mustache is ugly. Gotta shut finally. His name is Rory Burns.
Can't argue with any of that.
Good
It's not-
jingle, that.
It's not a November moustache, it's just an all-year ugly moustache. So Southey bowls again, this is driven, but a good stop by the man at shortish extra cover, falling away to his left, prevents any run.
He's waking up. Jonathan Shawland. I live in New Zealand, so the match time zone works perfectly for me. I have taken the day off work and I'm watching on TV while listening to Gorilla Cricket.
Yeah, I think we worked out that
stylish
the
man.
best place to be would probably be the east coast of the United States, where the the match starts at 5 o'clock. You can sort of watch it all evening. Finishes at
Absolutely.
midnight. That's a great time there.
Finishes at midnight, you'd be in bed by
Yeah,
1 minute past. Be great.
When England are in the West Indies, the games sort of start 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's also not a bad time. As Southey's in again, full, driven, and again the man at extra cover. Who is that under the floppy hat? Makes a good save. They're not showing us. They're not showing him in close up.
Here we go. Here we go.
It was a full ball, and it was
Oh, no.
well driven. They're not showing us. They're showing us planes landing. They're showing us parachutists. Maybe it coming out of that plane. I don't know. Oops, he's not gone into a building, has he? Southey bowls full, and it's check drive from Burns, a little bit uppish. Goes again to the mystery man under the hat. It is Raval, well spotted. He's wearing a broad-brimmed white floppy hat in the manner of David Gower in years gone by. David, if you're listening, get in touch. Get our people to talk to your people.
Yeah.
We can work something out. I know you're not doing very much at the minute. Don't want to rub it in, but hey-ho. 61 for 1, England. It seems to be quite an adventure playground. We've got parachutists who've just shown us a very high climbing wall.
Another one.
Parachute. Is it guerrilla marketing for a bank? No, he landed with the... this goes past the outside edge. Well, Southey bowled a foolish ball outside the off stump, and Burns played an expansive drive and got nowhere near it.
There's a little bit of swinging and a bit of cutaway there, isn't there?
It just sort of went
Oh,
across
no,
him.
he
I
just-
don't think it did very much. He played for in-swing that
Didn't happen.
didn't materialise.
already a better start than the first thing this morning, which was very friendly.
Better start from the bowlers,
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
Probably better lines, but we only had 5 balls since lunch. I don't know why. They came out late, that's why. Southey bowls, and this is closer to the stumps, but Burns lifts his hands out of the way. The maiden first over after lunch, 61 for 1 is still the score.
Now, Dr. Cooper, joining you again after the lunch break, supper break here. Thank you for your excellent commentary. It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure. It's not that excellent much of the time, but we are a sucker for compliments.
But we enjoy it.
It is what it is. You know, we get the people we can. Let's be honest. We don't have the big bucks to bring in the big names, but you wouldn't like it if we brought in big names, would you? We're not about getting in ex-pros. Not just because we can't afford them. This is something that I discuss a lot when we see grounds in New Zealand and it used to be in Australia. Banks. There are a lot of banks.
Yes.
I don't think banks are comfortable places to watch cricket from, to be honest. You can't really find a good position to sort of lie or slouch on a bank.
Do you prefer chairs, though?
Well, yeah. The first over from the other end after lunch is bowled by Neil Wagner. We'll jiggle him up after this ball, which is full and turned out to deep backward square for 2 runs by Denley.
And hear his musical interlude.
That's Neil Wagner. He's my boss. And when he takes 5 wickets in an over, it was moid.
Is it me or is the crowd noise a bit loud?
Yeah.
Very noisy crowd
Yeah.
here in Sydney.
I think they're still having lunch, aren't
As Wagner is in left arm over the wicket, full driven
Oh,
and
lovely shot.
driven square by Denley. He's found the gap between cover and gully. A good chase from Santner out to the deep square point boundary. So 3 runs to Denley, 66 for 1. Denley's up to 9.
No, you're right about banks, because I find myself capable of watching a TV that's at the foot of a bed comfortably. So you want to lie sideways, but then you just roll down the bank to the boundary, wouldn't you?
Well, you would. Depends how steep it is, of course. But maybe, I don't know, people are sitting. I don't think it's that comfortable to sit on.
No.
In a sort of a crouchy position.
No.
But some people do
it?
have
It
chairs
does
on
allow
them.
for the people sitting behind to look over the heads of
Yes,
those
I
in
can
front.
understand
you know,
why.
so-
Well, that's true of a terrace with seats. A shorter ball from Wagner, not his usual sort of chest-high bounce, but Burns covers up in defence. People are mostly sitting on their arses, and if you lie back, then you can't see the cricket very well, can you?
No.
But ideal for closing your eyes and falling asleep.
I'm just trying to think which ground I've been to with banks. Of course, there's the Ray Bank stand at Edgbaston, but I think they have seats. It's not really a bank. As Wagner is in short, well, not very short, but just short of a length, and Burns stands up tall and defends.
What it does mean is that I've seen videos on YouTube. They do lots of these competitions. If you catch it in the crowd, you win $7,000. And
About 50 quid.
there's some amazing sliding efforts as people leg it across the banks. And
Right. Harder to do if you've got
Yeah.
lots of fixed seating.
yes, with beer everywhere.
Wagner in again, short over the shoulder of Burns, who ducks underneath it.
Messages agreeing, yes, the crowd noise is a tad loud.
Green room.
We'll get a technical expert in to
Yes.
play with the widgets.
But he apologises for his tardiness as well. The Crown kept him up until 3 a.m, so a 6 a.m. start to hear you wasn't an option.
The crowd?
Plus, although it was 42C last week, it was only 6C then, way too cold for me. Yes, I'm soft, I know.
Wagner in again. This is
way
close
to
to
do.
being gloved down the leg side by Burns. Wagner bowled that ball across him. It's a short ball which is past the hip or rib height, and Burns played a shot which pretty much can only get him out. There is a leg slip in, but he did miss it, and the keeper took end of the 31st over, 66 for 1. Denley has 9 and Burns 35. Good to have you with us, messengers, anyway.
Mog says your average bank is also a pretty keen place to pick up some skin cancer, including some inducing sunburns.
Well, a lot of people are quite covered up, and not to the extent of those two people in
They're all
silver
black.
fern onesie jumpsuits or whatever they happen to be. Anyway, Southey is back to start his 7th over. He's only gone for 9 runs off the 6 so far. But that may be because he wasn't bowling that good a line early doors and people weren't going after him. Anyway, he's in and bowls and deadly drives. It's fielded by mid-off, no run.
More of a prod, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a sort of a check drive. Deadly's got has he usually got a moustache or is
No,
it?
it's another one of these charity numbers.
Oh dear, tiresome.
What's Williams' excuse?
Williamson has got a
He's
full
got a
beard.
He's got a fine beard.
It's,
I've got beard envy.
It does age him, though, doesn't it?
You're something of a beard aficionado yourself. Who was that? Was it Adam Live? Who had a very bald head and a beard. Peanut, they called him.
Another opener on the scrap heap.
Of England openers.
Quite large scrap heap. Or landfill, isn't it?
Yeah. Southey bowls outside the off stump, Denley leaves. And the keeper takes. It's always good to have a BJ behind the stumps
So I suppose,
of an afternoon.
So I suppose, given that we've got a new opener in Sibley, what was our views of him? How many matches do you think England are going to give him?
Well, if he's never going to score a run on the offside, which he hasn't so far in his Test career, then obviously
He's got to play
had
the
one
second.
innings.
Yeah, he's got to play the second, isn't he?
He's got to give him 6 and then see what happens.
Southey in again, a little bit wider of the crease, and it's full ball, which definitely blocks up to mid-off. I've said before, I don't think Denley's worthy of his place in the team, but he's there, so he might as well score some runs. They do found some bizarre excuses to keep him in the team. He was run out by his captain, they'll give him another test. He took that fine catch near the end of that draw, let's give him another test. We need him as an opener. All of a sudden we don't need him as an opener. We need him as a number 3. The team seems to be built around Denley. 3 slips and a gully as Southey is up to the wicket, bowls, and an attempted drive in the offside goes off the inner half of the bat up to mid-on, no run.
Maybe he's got some compromat on Ed Smith.
It's possible. I did think maybe they played together, but I looked it up and they didn't. They both at Middlesex at various times. But Ed Smith was a man of Kent, and Denley started at Kent, went to Middlesex and went back to Kent. So there is as much in England as there is. I mean, it's more pronounced in, say, West Indies or Australia, where people are selected from more to do with where they're from. As Southey comes in and bowls, it's a shorter ball, which Denley pulls to a long leg for a single. It does go on in English cricket as well. You know, you'll get Nasser Hussain bigging up somebody who plays for Essex, and Alex Stewart for Surrey, and all the boring Yorkshiremen for whoever's playing for Yorkshire. There's a lot of it goes on.
Who are you bigging up at the moment, not Fred?
I don't big up anyone. You know, I don't care who they're playing for, as long as it's not Surrey. No, Surrey are all right. They went through a phase of decadent revoltingness, but then they got rid of Hollyoak. As Southey bowls outside the off stump, well wide, Burns doesn't chase. End of the over, 67 for 1. No tweeters?
No technical expert either.
It's going to be a long 2 test matches.
So we've interesting one here from Dan Fulker. I actually watched a one-day game at the Mount on my travels, New Zealand versus South Africa. The banks were uncomfortable. I got shat on by seagulls twice, and I got awful sunburn. They did an excellent pint, however, and the views were second to none.
Well, you should work for the New Zealand Tourist Board for that wonderful review. Score from the Gabba in Brisbane. Pakistan are 31 for no wicket off 12 overs, so going quite well. Azhar Ali 18, Shan Masood 6. There must have been a few extras. Blimey, that's 24. There's 7 extras somewhere along the line. As Wagner starts a new over, short ball, which is pulled by Denley quite handsomely. There's nobody out there. It's going to run away for 4 runs. He saw that quickly. He picked the line and the length and went into a swivel pull. Timed it nicely. Good shot. Yeah. Well, Deadly does bowl short, so you can more or less hang on the back foot. Oh, how close did
Nearly
he go to his
decapitated.
short leg? I mean, completely uncatchable because he middled it. But it doesn't stop the bowler thinking, "Ooh, that was close." Bollocks, it was close.
Gives the fielder a bit
But
of
Wagner
nightmares.
in again, and that is a
good
quicker
ball.
ball,
Good
which
ball.
goes across him and moves away slightly.
Gets the stare.
Wagner is not one to underplay his emotions. He just, in an old-fashioned way, he seems to hate batsmen.
Yeah, but him and Broad get on famously with their histrionics.
That was a little bit quicker, and sort of a cutter. I'm not quite sure. I think his fingers did something odd, but he showed his displeasure at the previous shot, which was a comfortable pull by Denley, and that went past the outside edge as Wagner's in again, and this is chipped up in the air, pretty close to Gully, who didn't get the dive in. He pulled out of a pull. It looked like he was going to. Initially, was thinking of hitting that towards
Smearing
mid-wicket, and then it just looped up off the bottom of the bat, perhaps towards the gully. It was a bit of a nothing shot, truth be told. No, it was off the top edge actually.
Tried to pull out of the shot, didn't
And
he?
could the gully have got closer? No, not really. Bounced about 3 yards away from him. Thank you, Ditch.
Bounce.
Wagner in again. It's good over this actually. Short and pulled. Deadly is going to take him on, and he's picked this one up cleanly to backward square leg. 4 runs.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
So this over so far, we've had a short ball pulled for 4 by Denley. We had one which went past his outside edge, one which hit the top edge but fell short of Gully, and then another good swivel pull by Denley. So people who were complaining about the lack of action before lunch, I hope you're watching now.
Good over, isn't it?
Well, it's a
Good
lot
ball
going
versus bat fight.
on.
Yeah?
As Jim Laker once said at lunch at a test match, an interesting morning, full of interest. As Wagner bowls, guess what, it's a short ball, and this time Denley wisely plays no shot at all.
Never knowingly understated.
All those people going cold turkey after the one days in the World Cup.
Well, there's a lot of cricket going on around the world nowadays, and it's hard to keep track of all the formats. There's a bunch of 10-over games going on in the Emirates at the minute, which some desperate friends of mine were tweeting about because they just wanted something to watch. As Wagner in to complete this eventful over, guess what, it's a short ball, and Denley ducks underneath it. Watling takes the end of the 33rd over, 75 for 1.
Apparently there's some new tournament coming next year as well.
Yeah.
Have you heard about it?
There's always something going on. It was a Madness song which said there's always something happening and it's usually quite loud. Could be referring to England cricket. Nothing on the
No, they've got quite a game.
commenters.
Yeah. I know, Anna Forsyth. What's going to happen first? Burns 50, Denley 50, or the general election? There's a
Ooh.
political question.
Well, it's a tough one. We're 20 odd days away
I
from
know
the
which
general
one
election.
I know which one I'm going to be bored of fastest.
Southey to start a new over to Rory Burns. There's 35 runs on the board. He bowls a straight ball which Burns defends into the leg side. Burns has got a sort of a unfussy technique. He does sometimes plant his front leg and play around it, but
Who's the...
it's like Graham Smith and Steve Smith and other people called Smith, who you thought, well, they're bound to be LBW candidates, but somehow they never were.
Where's our technical support? Because Messi Jess is pointing out the crowd noise is still loud, fellas.
Yeah, no one's done anything. We may get round to it. Everyone's asleep. Southey bowls well wide of the off stump, and Burns has an unwise slash. I don't think he could have reached that with a 4-foot bat.
Only another 10 minutes of us, so probably have a crowd dampening at the changeover, if not before.
We should have a poll. Do you prefer to listen to us or the fake crowd noise?
Yeah.
Burns, who, along with his moustache, has got some white, what do they call that? Sunblock pasted over most of his cheeks and nose. It's obviously quite warm there as Southey bowls, and Burns gets well forward and finds a gap in the offside with a nudge, takes the single, 76 for 1.
It's called zinc cream, isn't it?
Zinc. Right. Until they found out that zinc's really poisonous, and you're eating away at your nose cavities with that. Is that Ed Smith?
That is.
Where's his little mini-me next to him?
In his man bag.
No, it's not Ed Smith. It's just two blokes, random blokes with hats.
It looked like Ed Smith.
Yeah. The cameramen are not picking out just attractive women. They're picking out middle-aged men as well.
Yeah.
In hats.
Who looked like Ed Smith.
And an elderly couple.
Just look bewildered.
Who I'm not sure if they know where they are. This one is edgily played by Denley. It didn't look like the ball did very much, but he stayed in his crease, didn't move his feet at all, and just, well, he edged it towards Gully on the bounce.
Diana Patterson, yes, the crowd noise is quite loud.
There, the crowd noise is particularly loud, and the tweeters are revolting. No, nothing. No one's doing anything. They're all asleep or dead or something. Carbon monoxide poisoning from the green rim. It is an extensive bank, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of bank. The Sydney Hill used to be like that once upon a time. There's Southey bowls, and generally defends back to the bowler. Southey pretends to shy at the stumps.
Neil Franklin comments saying the plastic seats aren't that comfortable. Sitting on the grass is a young person's game, though.
Oh, the technical, the crowd noise is apparently too loud. The people are complaining. Yeah, there we go. Just a gentle murmur in the background.
Yeah.
Southey is another one with vast amounts of zinc cream over his cheeks, nose, and why your lower lip should be more susceptible to sunburn than anywhere else.
Well, maybe
I'm not quite sure.
I think he's growing some facial sunscreen.
Some soul patch as Southey bowls straight ball, turned to the right hand of mid-on by Denley, walks through for a single. The end of the over 77 for 1.
Delighted to say that Pirate Badshah has actually set up the poll for who would you rather listen to, with the top button being not Fred commentary and the second button being crowd noise. And at the moment, no votes.
No, well, I'm taking that as a moral victory, I have to say. You know, the people have spoken, and they couldn't care less. We're seeing a montage of Southey to Denley, which is unusually difficult to say, actually. There are a lot of different release points from Southey, some very straight, some from wide of the crease. I think I actually spotted one of those in real time, so I'm taking some credit. This man who's sitting in front of New Zealand television third voice position. He bowled 3 from straighter and 3 from wider, and it was a nice tie this chap's wearing.
Yes, it is.
Just with a light blue and grey tartan. Anyway, that's the analysis done, and Wagner is back. And Wagner to Denley was an eventful over last time. Let's see what fate has in store for these two now.
A deep and meaningful question from Anna Forsyth. Isn't an unwise slash another term for public urination?
Well, sometimes it's necessary. You know.
Still unwise.
Wagner bowls a good length ball across Denley, and he leaves. He probably wasn't expecting a length ball. He was expecting something aimed at his armpit. Around the ground, we don't have much by way of stands. There's a little sort of tented area at a very fine long leg.
Have we seen
a
the
grandstand of some kind?
There is one there.
Yeah, there's a sort of a modern block pavilion. As Wagner bowls a short ball, Denley tries to pull and bottom edges it down into the ground. It
Game on again.
Dribbles towards mid-wicket, no run. That was the first pull he's actually gone through, which he hasn't timed. The others, having decided to play the shot, he played it well in those previous occasions.
Seems like it'd be remarkably easy to sneak into this ground.
Whoa, there's a good Twitter. If you've sneaked into grounds around the world, please let us know which are the easy ones and the hard ones.
Yeah.
Not that we condone such actions. Yes,
not.
we condone such actions. Easy way to sneak in is with the press passes. Wagner bowls short, pulled. Is there a man out there? There is, but he's not going to pick that one up. It's well in front of square. 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
81 for 1 now, England. Denley's up to 23, and this is officially a good start now, I think, for England.
Indeed. Interesting. Denley's now 21 balls to get off the mark. He's now
that was actually quite close to
23
Latham.
off an extra.
Did he get a
26?
finger on that and hurt himself?
Wow.
I don't know. It was a strange angle as Wagner's in again. Fuller and possibly slower, and Denley tries to guide it down towards third man, and a good sprawling stop from de Grandhomme at is it sort of a deep gully or a backward point prevents any run.
Well, you can say Denley's won that battle because they just pulled Latham out of that sort of
Well, that may be
close-in
because he's
position.
hurt
So
himself. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a bit in the firing line.
I was going to say there's about 4 or 5 balls gone past him there. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Where
well, as long
not-
as they go past you, it's not too bad.
where not to put your informed batsman, lesson 1.
Yes, but you know, if he's your best fielder, it's something you have to consider. I don't know that he is, but they may think so. As a good ball, a full ball, which pitched on about
the
just outside off stump and went past the outside edge of Denley. Wagner walks down the wicket, has a long stare and possibly a couple of words, and that was pretty close to off stump and pretty close to the
Very
bottom
low.
edge.
Kept low.
It didn't bounce.
Well, it was a much fuller ball, and he beat him as much as anything with the deception of the length. And well, this is a good battle. And so far, you have to say Denley is winning it because he's still in. There's Wagner in to complete the over. Short ball. Is there a man out there? There is, but he can't get round to it. This time it's gone to his right hand, and that's gone for at least 4 runs.
Just 4,
It's gone
yeah.
for 4 runs. Well, he's taking him on, and when he middles it, he's scoring boundaries. But in between that, Wagner is having, well, not success, but he's having some moral victories, it's fair to say. Good cricket.
Little catch up. Soph, greetings from SoCal. She agrees the noise is a bit boisterous for this particular tour. It lacks authenticity.
Well, that's true of all of us, to be fair.
Indeed. Well, Mark's got an idea for that. Tell you what, Fred's voice is far too loud too. I'd recommend at least a 60 decibel reduction.
Boom, boom. Well, you'll be pleased to know that I'm on for another over, and that's me done for the day. 85 for 1 England off 35 overs, and Southey
A messenger says
is back into the
thanks
attack.
to Bear for sorting the
Yep.
crowd noise
The Bear
out.
finally got his lazy arse in here to sort it out.
And we've got a free crack to bear.
Although Jonathan Shawler says the crowd noise is a bit too quiet now.
Oh, you can't please some people.
God dear me.
Southey to Burns, a very different game from Wagner to Denley. It's a full ball outside the off stump and Burns defends. 2 games going on here, and for some reason, because the runs are only coming in even numbers, the batsmen are staying at their particular ends. Actually, wouldn't be a bad idea for Denley to get off strike from Wagner, just to get him even more annoyed. He seems the type of bowler who's probably quite easy to wind up, but he's had incredible success for New Zealand in the last couple of years, particularly at home. I think he's taken his wickets at about 20, which is pretty astonishing in Test cricket. Although some wickets in New Zealand tend to be bowler friendly. Southey bowls from wide of the crease, and again it's a wide ball which Burns has
Another
a
unwise
public
side.
urination,
Yeah.
a public urination at outside the off stump. And Southey with his 1930s haircut, which is very close cropped at the sides and not quite a comb over. I don't know what you'd call that over the top. Have you got any hair care experts? Oh, it wasn't quite so wide. and
Tony's
he
very
slashed
good.
underneath it. Tony,
Bishop.
do you remember Tony Bishop with hair?
Yes, I do actually. Very well. 1986.
Round the wicket, Southey now, and Burns. Well, he tries to get down the other end, but doesn't because he can't beat the man at backward point with a nudge.
Did we read out the comment from someone on YouTube earlier laughing at our lack of, well, my and Jason's lack of hair earlier on?
If you spend many evenings in a darkened room, talking through the night, it's probably not the best regime for follicle growth.
No. I think the comment something along the lines of, ha ha ha, you've got no hair.
You probably noticed that when you looked in the mirror.
This
Yeah,
morning.
I did.
Well, you've got no hair on the top of your head. You've got plenty around the chin. And
Absolutely.
Southey
I'm just upside down.
in again to Burns, and he can't get off strike. Not that
Keen
he's
field,
necessarily trying to. A bit of an inside edge from Burns goes to mid wicket, and a good stop. No run. In 2 balls, we'll have a changeover. Please get off your arses in the green room and make your way in here.
We've got some power napping to do.
I'm going home.
Mog says
Anyway.
that haircut is very Hitler jugging.
Hitlerjugend, I think, as in the Hitler Youth. Who's coming round the door? It's Tony Bishop, you lucky people. As
Hooray!
Southey bowls and again blocked into the offside.
And the bear.
The Bears come in and judging by Tony's expression, has erupted some... yes, he has. It's a good time for me to leave. One ball. I might do a ball early. Get out of the way of the screen, you idiot.
Out of the pavilion window, we can't see.
So we'll have a three-person change. If you have you queued up a change of commentary jingle?
I have not, but I shall do that.
It's a bit of
After this ball.
a bit of
Momentarily.
out loud production notes. Southey, it's 5 dot balls so far. Will be bowling to Burns. It's driven back towards the bowler along the ground. He didn't really get a hand on it. It's a dot ball. End of the over. 36 overs gone. 85 for 1.
It's been too many overs on a little couch, oh, just like an old biddy. They need to stretch and slouch. It's been a few overs coming, but to the sofa, change gon' come. Oh, yes, it is. Sorry, Tony's looked at a screen and panicked. 85 for 1, England. 36 overs gone. Run rate is paltry 2.36. But I'm quite enjoying watching Denley.
Paltry. Solid.
It's solid, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm used to 3.5 and over, man. Wagner is in to Denley. He just works out into the leg side. There is a mid wicket. He's a bit straight and allows him to go for a single. I'm quite watching this little battle between Wagner and Denley.
Yeah, Denley's not been afraid to take on the pull shot.
No.
Got a couple away in the last over.
Well, it's not really getting up that high, is it? I mean, it's getting up just above waist high. So, I mean, if you're prepared to take it on, it's not it's not rapid, is it? 136 Ks, so it's about 84, 85. It's no reason why you shouldn't, really. If you're a professional batsman, I suppose.
Be the shot of choice as well, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
For Wagner, because he.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
His,
Otherwise,
his stock ball is the, as we've said, is the armpit ball. Dig it in.
Exactly. And otherwise, you're just going to get tied up and not score any runs. So you might as well. Rory Burns isn't really. Oh, he got clonked on the helmet there. That's going to be 4 byes.
Four byes. Yeah.
Was it 4 byes?
Leg byes,
Leg
surely.
byes, isn't it? Yeah. He's
that
all
what
right.
they've given?
I think it glanced off the front. He doesn't look too particularly worried. Wagner's having a chat. There's a big scuff on the top of his helmet.
That'll have to be changed.
I hate that fucking haircut that Burns has, man. It's got, it's like a.
What did they signal that as then in the end?
It'll be leg byes.
Yeah, it'll be
It
leg
was leg
byes.
byes.
Yeah. Scuff
Talk-
off the top, wasn't it?
Talking of haircuts, Mog says that haircut is very Hitlerjugend. I'm not quite sure who he's talking
Yeah,
about.
well, no,
That I
talking about
think-
Rory Burns. It's the flick, isn't it? It's the bloody flick.
I think he might have been talking about Neil Wagner, but
Oh,
Anna
really?
Forsyth says shortly the ultimate Hitler Youth haircut in cricket is Tom Curran,
Not hair flick.
not Herr Flick,
No.
who is currently in charge of Bayern Munich.
Is he?
Hans Dieter Flick is the current
Oh, is
manager.
it is actually a hair flick. In charge of Bar? I didn't know that.
Are they even going to bother giving him a new helmet?
They are,
No,
yeah.
no, yeah.
They always change the helmet after the.
There's only a
After an
graze
impact.
on the top.
But-
no,
Oh,
they're
maybe,
not.
maybe they haven't.
It's hit the back almost. So it'll be a glancing blow. It shouldn't really do any damage to it.
It's not so much that it does damage, as that it can. The manufacturers say that it lessens its effectiveness, so you should change the helmet after it.
It's like a cycle helmet when you have a crash. I don't even wear a cycle helmet.
He looks
That's
a bit
probably not-
scarily like the Joker because he's got so much of that white sun cream on. He's got a very
This is
pale face, doesn't
what
he?
Rory Burns.
Yeah.
The smeared zinc.
Rory obviously doesn't Burns. If he's got that much.
Well, he would do if he
sun
wasn't
cream on.
wearing it. Burns.
Well, yeah, there you are.
Yeah. I never liked sun cream in the summer. It's really annoying when you're a bowler and you get sweaty, and it just, if you put it on, it just, especially on your forehead, it just drips down into your eyes and it just stings the f out of them and you can't see. So I used to get burnt on the face and the nose. Made more sense. Anyway, Burns is okay. He's replaced his helmet. Well, he didn't replace his helmet actually. He's replaced it on his head.
He sort of kissed it on the way
Yeah,
through. It
just
wasn't like a
kiss it on
full-on
through.
smack,
No, it
was
was exactly. It didn't sort of stop it.
Still
Glanced
got
off
this
it.
Well, Wagner's in again, and they're trying a leg theory.
They're
We've seen
still
this
doing it,
before with
aren't they?
Wagner. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a leg gully, leg slip. It's quite wide. They got a short leg. Presumably, they got two men out on the hook, one behind, one in front. But Burns hasn't shown the desire to go after the short ball that Denley has. It was maybe more profitable for him actually if he just prods and pads and he kind of gets one on the hip and just tries to work it down there. That's when the leg gully will come in. He's deep enough that he'll have time to see it.
Roger McCann says, I like Rory Burns' hair.
Really? Rog. Oh, and he's tried to double bluff there, throwing it long and wide outside as some tempting the drive from Burns, and he went after it. His foot didn't get across, and he missed it, and it went through to the keeper.
That's the one that you just know in your head you shouldn't have played
No.
when it's too late.
Well, you know you shouldn't be playing it halfway through playing the shot.
But it's tempting, isn't it? I mean, you get all this short stuff, and then you get a full one that's quite wide outside your off stump. You think, oh, I'm going to smash that to the
He's
boundary.
a clever bowler, Neil Wagner.
Yeah, he's in again. Short once more.
I think he can count himself
Through
as
the keeper,
unlucky
no
so
run?
far.
A little bit, yeah. I think Denley's played him pretty well. Burns has got into a little bit of a tangle, but has done okay, which is generally what happens to Rory Burns against the short ball. A few comments on Cricket Tracker. Rudresh Bazvaraj says, good morning, everybody. Simon Wali says, Simon, watching from Vancouver. What's up, guys?
Ah,
It's all good. It's all
good
good.
day, Vancouver. How's Vancouver? What sort of time is it in Vancouver? Probably late evening, isn't it?
Santosh Karki says, good morning, everyone. Jay Shah says, superb. Nomiale Tarakil says, if you read my comment, please say my name. Tim Southey will get his first wicket in, well, he said the fourth ball of the 31st over, so no.
No, that's around the wicket, Wagner, into the sort of armpit region of Burns. He gets right across inside the line and just works it past that leg slip down to the long leg, gets himself a single and retains the strike as that's the end of the over.
But like the reassuring, the incredibly specific prediction, Shajir Lagari says 350, and Chandan Naidu says New Zealand will win. On what do we got on YouTube? Barra the World says, "G'day boys, how are we?"
We're fine, mate.
Yeah, all good. We were back on Twitter, just making sure we're all up to date with the social medias. Evil Scutus, in response to Anna's question about which will happen first, Burns' 50, Denley's 50, or the general election, Evil Scutus says the fall of the then newly elected government.
Well, my fear is that fucking Tory majority of some description.
It's a fear shared by many.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a fear last time that stopped it being so, and I hope that's repeated.
We were talking a little bit. We asked on Twitter about. I'll come to that after this delivery from Tim Southey.
Tim Southey is up to the crease now, and the
edge. Oh my!
Between slips, neither of them went for it. Second slip sort of went to his right with his hands cupped, and first slip didn't really even look to go after it. Ton Latham. And it's just dropped between the two of them. It's first slips, really. It's first slips.
It's whoever wants to go for it, really.
It's Ross Taylor at first and Latham at second. I mean, they're not far apart, so maybe that confused them. Genuine edge, should easily catchable height. And that Southey will be very happy.
Second life he's had, Burns.
Latham went for it and put Taylor off a bit. If you're going to go for it, go for it. It was a simple enough catch.
Oh, I think Taylor should have been going for that, really, but. This one he leaves alone and it's through the keeper. Burns moves into the 40s with that, with 41. That's not been the most fluent of innings, but he's an opening batsman. He's taken the shine for the new ball.
It's a change of bowling, by the way.
No. Southey and Wagner are bowled unchanged since lunch. In fact, Wagner's into his, I think, 12th over, I think, on the trot, or 11th over or so.
He's had a space of 40 minutes in between.
7
That's
overs.
a good spell off, isn't it? You know.
Still 7 overs straight before lunch. And
bowlers like bowling.
He does bowl long spells.
Southey is in. That one is a little bit fuller. Decent length, a little bit of width, and Burns presses forwards and defends it up to mid-off. There's no run. Number 16, Southey, in 9.3 overs.
We were talking, he asked a question on Twitter about if anyone's ever snuck into an international cricket ground, and if so, how. Tim Lowell says, I just walked into McLean Park in Napier. The gates were open and no one stopped me. I took some pictures. And then says, oh, you mean during a game? No.
No, I've never snuck into one when a game's going on, except when they've opened the gates and let us in, which I do remember. Oh, Burns is a bit scratchy here, but he's getting away with it. Another full ball going across him from Southey. It's not particularly quick. He's down on one knee, expansively driving. and misses it, and goes through the keeper, no run.
Looks like he's feeling the urge to hurry.
He doesn't need to,
obviously.
Sally's changed his length. He's going a lot fuller than he did before lunch, and it's drawing Rory Burns into shots he doesn't want to be playing at. He was very comfortable when Southey was back of a length in his first spell.
Yeah, well, there was no need to play anything, was he? He was back of a length and a bit too wide, wasn't he? In that opening spell with a new ball. That's better. Driven square this time. It does get a bat on it. Burns out to the man coming in from the point boundary and gets himself a single.
Interesting. So it's like the odd field, I think.
Well, and I think that's for the square. I mean, if he's going to bowl it full, he might get one a bit wide and it may be driven out there and it saves the 4. Denny will come back on strike, 28 or 50. He's really upped his rate with all these short balls from Wagner that he's been pulling. It's quite settled. Of course, his last test score was 94 or 96.
Who's this?
Denley.
Denley? I will tell you precisely what his last test score was.
Yeah, he did fall just short of his first Test
He
100
did,
at the Oval.
The Oval, yeah.
And that got us into the position that won us that game and levelled the Ashes. So we didn't lose the
94.
Ashes.
He made
94.
14 and 94 at the Oval.
He leaves that one outside his off stump. Through the keeper. Ends that over from Saudi. Went for 5.
So he currently has a test average of 28.56 at all.
And it's been increasing, I think.
It has been just edging up slightly.
He did all right, the Joe Denley story.
Yeah, he did do all right. Nothing spectacular, as you say, but not too bad either.
So I think that will come.
Soph says, I used to sneak into Lords on the Oval all the time when I was a child. Easier to do for county games, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, probably a lot easier than it is now, I'd say.
But sneaking into, anyone's got any ingenious methods of, we've asked the question a few times about how people sneak alcohol into grounds, but sneaking yourself into a ground. King Kong Kong on YouTube says, Hi. Paul Torkington says, an old comedy sports show here in New Zealand used to have a running gag about trying to sneak into Eden Park during games. At one point they turned up with a pallet full of beer and walked in through the gates, pretending to be delivery people.
Of course.
That's not a bad shout.
Wagner is around the wicket to the left-handed Burns, trying to get it up into his ribs, and he just defends that down to the ground, and there's no run.
Nowadays you have to go through security as well, though, don't you? That tends to take a lot more time.
Yeah, the only place I used to sneak into was Glastonbury. Never paid for Glastonbury.
Oh, right.
Never full price. I once paid a doorman to get me in for 20 quid. That's over the wicket again, Wagner. Tries to pitch it in a bit short. Doesn't really get up. This pitch is quite dead, I reckon.
Presumably it's a gateman for Glastonbury.
Yeah, you
wouldn't
kind
really
of
have a door.
No,
to a field.
it's a gate. You sort of basically bribe the security, and they just take you in the back of a truck.
Well, there you go.
It's a good little learner for them.
Sure.
Wonder if they do that these days with
Well,
how.
it's a long leg, and it's. I imagine they probably do. To be fair, it's a good little bit of extra money. I imagine they don't do it on day one. You've got a single down there, by the way. But by Saturday night, I imagine they don't give a shit. The place is full, and it's got all its cash, and there's plenty of people who come down. Wagner across Denley. He lets that through to keep, and there's no run.
Neil Franklin says, county outgrounds that are public parks, you could probably sneak in if you got there early enough, i.e. Chesterfield. Gordon Anderson says, not so much sneaking into a ground, but I saw students in 2010 with a sofa on top of an old car parked outside the Basin Reserve. They had a good view.
Like that, that's cool.
That is a great way of doing
Kind
it.
of done the car any good, probably dented the roof. But
It did say an old estate.
That is quite literally test
Yeah.
match sofa.
yeah.
Very good.
Denley faces out, Wagner comes in, fourth ball of the over. Oh, edged, but
Just
soft enough hands.
short.
Took his bottom hand off. It seemed to come in a little bit with a bit of movement in the air. It's quite full. Took his bottom hand off and it drops just short. Just soft enough hands that it dropped just before Taylor at first slip. And once again, Wagner arches his back and stares at the sky. And he hasn't any luck. But England won't mind that, 97 for 1. Quite a good position. The ball is now nearly 40 overs old. They've got to start thinking about scoring runs against the old ball.
Oh, beauty.
Beaten again outside the off stump. played down a wrong line, really, Denley. Covered the line of his stumps and beat the
Swung
outside
in
edge.
as well. That swung
Did
in.
swung
Yeah,
in,
quite a bit.
swing in from a little bit outside.
It swung in and then held its line off the seam. It's a really good delivery. He's playing for that to really come back in and sort of middle and off stump, and it's just gone past the outside edge.
He's just covering his stumps, really. But he gets away with it. And the last ball of this Wagner over is coming in now. And this time it's two leg side, and he clips that nicely off his pads. There is a man out of deep square level, obviously. He'll get a single and retain the strike. England move on to 98 for 1.
Anna Forsyth says, my mum did try and get me into Lords as an under 16 last summer. It didn't work, but it was Ladies' Day, so we got him for free anyway. Harry Everett says, many times, one of the better stories was when I walked into the Queenstown Oval in Frankton to retrieve a frisbee I accidentally threw towards the square. Then briefly pretended I was Corey Anderson scoring his 38-ball ton there in front of the remarkable mountains backdrop.
Very nice.
Can I have my frisbee back? Okay. Go out and do some shadow batting. Kunal Talani says, hello guys, can we get some wickets please?
Well, we don't want wickets, Kulal, because England are batting. We want shed loads of runs. England want 500 on. Not that we've done that for, I can't remember the last time we put 500 runs on in an innings, first innings particularly.
We are. No, it's still
Saudi.
Isn't it? Still Saudi.
And then we can have some wickets, but that'll be hopefully late tomorrow. A whole flurry of them as
Well,
Joffrey.
New Zealand are looking for some wickets and probably should have had one in Saudi's last over.
They should have had one in Saudi's last over. Left alone outside the off stump, and there is no run.
3 slips in for Saudi.
Yeah.
No, haven't seen Bolt since his opening spell.
No.
Wagner can't. I know Wagner likes bowling long spells and he's very good at them, but surely he can't bowl unchanged from that end for.
Well, not too much longer, you wouldn't have thought.
This is his 5th. Oh, that was his 5th that he just bowled in a
They
row.
might put him in another 7 over spell, maybe even 8. Who knows? Saudi in full-ish, quite slow. It seems to come out of hand a little bit slower anyway. And then he pushed at it out to the covers, and there's no run.
He's definitely making a deliberate effort to pitch the ball up more in this spell. Pakistan have made quite sedate progress in Brisbane, stately progress. They're 39 for no loss in the 20th over.
That's good for them. I'm sure Australia would have expected an early wicket. We watched a bit of that over lunch, and there were some lovely shots and some poor shots by Azhar Ali at the same time. It's a bit like Denley's playing, really. Leaves that one alone outside his off stump, and it's through to the keeper. Is it PJ Watling keeping?
Yes,
isn't it?
yes. Very, very effective player for New Zealand. Often goes unremarked, but he's a very good wicket keeper. And
often
always
digs them out of a hole.
Often very useful with the bat, and either digging them out of a hole or as a good foil to another more attacking batter. Probably the best keeper bat in the world at the moment in Test cricket.
Ooh, that's a bold statement, Knuckle. Saudi in, 2-leg side, nicely clipped by Denley. It's wide enough for the man who's is that Raval down there?
Yes,
it is indeed, and straight. Saudi didn't look happy there. Hurled it at Watley. It's your own fault, mate. If you want to bowl a long half volley on the pads,
I think that's what he was annoyed about.
Yeah, well,
But she never lost her head, even when she was B.J. Watling.
there we
That's
go.
the man.
That's the man.
I saw his jingle was only 7 seconds, so I thought I'd just slide it in.
Saudi in, full again, and driven by Denley to mid off, and there's no run.
3 slips, gully, cover, extra cover, mid off.
Trying to get any movement out of the ball they can, but it's quite a sunny day. That tree is very angular, isn't it? Do you think it's been?
It's like an upside down Christmas tree.
We're seeing a tree that is remarkably shaped with its sort of bristles pointing upwards in this sort of.
It's been cut, hasn't it? It's got to have been cut to look like that.
Another hang glider is throwing him or herself.
Does look
off
rather
Mount
nice
Maunganui.
down there, I have to say. Saudi up to the crease. It's a little bit shorter of length, decent length ball actually. Then he plays it from the crease up towards mid on, and there's no run.
And that's 100 up.
That is the 100 up. England 100 for 1 in the 40th over, 2.5 runs on over. Burns is 43 off 116, and Denley's 31 off 61. It's all quite sedate, but considering we were 58 all out last year by about lunchtime, we're in the game. God damn it.
Did it go as far as lunchtime?
No, the
first
annoying
test?
thing about that bloody game was England got bowled out in fucking no time at all. New Zealand piled on a load of runs. England were obviously going to lose. And then we had 2 straight days of rain where we basically sat here through the night. Was that a day-nighter as well? I can't even remember. It was a day-nighter.
Yeah.
So we started at like fucking 1 in the morning and then sat here until it got called off 2 days in a row at about 7 in the morning. After we'd done the Ashes, as you can imagine, it was exactly what you didn't need. Especially after England bottled 58, you thought, okay, this will be over in 2.5 days. And we'll get a couple of days off.
In New Zealand, Southey and Bolt in 2 consecutive matches shared all 10 wickets between them, didn't they?
In 1 innings, yeah. Bolt is back into the attack. Wagner has finally been relieved of his duties. And we'll have a little jingle for Bolt in a second when Tony gets his act together.
Sorry, I was looking up the test figures from the figures from that test. I'll find our man.
That one didn't swing, it carried on with the arm, and Burns was trying to flick it, and it got no run as it hit the pad.
Where's our Trent? Where is he?
It'll be number 10 or 11 or 12.
He's right here. He's number 12, yeah. I'll wait till after this ball for him though.
Burns faces up. That's that through, passes off stump.
How does he speak?
No run.
Or play the horn? Or clean his teeth? Or even yawn? How does he shout? How does he call? Trent Bolt's mouth is really small.
Genius jingle, that.
It is.
Stood the test of time.
It has indeed. Took the words right out of my mouth there.
They don't always age that well.
No, they don't. It's true, but that one does. He's up to the crease now. Bowls. It's a little bit shorter, and Burns is up on his toes and works it out to mid-wicket when there is a fielder and there's no run.
Yeah, in the first innings of that first test, the one in Auckland when England were bowled out for 58, Bolt took 6 wickets and Southey 4.
And then Southey took 6 for 62 in the second test, didn't he? And Bolt took 4 for 87.
And they did we lose time in that second test? Because we were hunting for a win, weren't they? And Wagner was the man who stayed out there all afternoon on the 5th day, didn't he?
Did.
And we had some rain in that test too. Played straight into inside edge of his pad, defending on the crease. Burns off his pad, square out on the offside to point, no run.
Yes, Ish Sodhi and Neil Wagner were the men who stuck it out for the draw to help New Zealand hold on to that series victory.
50 for Mark Wood in that game as well, which is comparatively unusual in Test cricket. Probably his only one, but unless I'm much mistaken.
Burns faces up. Defends that again from the crease, slightly closes the face, takes it out to mid-wicket, and there is no run.
I mean, in the first, where was the first game? It was in Auckland. Wasn't it? It was in Auckland, yeah. England were undercooked, weren't they?
Massively undercooked, yeah.
Well, so weird.
But also, there's a massive hangover from
simultaneously under and overcooked.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they looked brain frazzled, and it was quite clear that a lot of them didn't really want to be out there.
Schrödinger's batting team.
Very full this
Interesting
time.
ball.
Slight shaping away. Burns doesn't get across to it. Jabs his batter, gets inside edge, which I think went back onto his back pad in front of the off stump, but then dribbled past the off stump out towards Watling, and there is no run. And that was a maiden over, none for 20 off 9. Bolt. England remain on 100 for 1.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. Wagner was obviously he does bowl long spells. He's a very strong man, but he is going to tire himself out bowling those short deliveries on what is a pitch that's got some decent bounce in it, but it's not that quick. And he was starting to lose a bit of his venom, but Bolt's come in and instantly been right on the money.
There doesn't really be a lot in Mount Maunganui, is there? I mean, there's a bit of a town, and then there's a kind of
Maunganui
industrial
Mount
complex
Maunganui
off
is
the
a sort of suburb of a larger city called Tauranga.
Tauranga, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it is a.
I mean, that looks quite holiday village to me.
Shame about the industrial estate.
It's a shame about the industrial estate and the docks off to the left, but on the right, I mean, I did see a higher photo. It's kind of like a spit of land.
Oh, the aerial shot of the Bay of Plenty is stunning.
Oh, the views from the top of the mountain. The mountain may not be that tall, but
it's not really a mountain.
Views,
I tell you, a hillock is more likely.
And our friend Spicy Golden Duck, who was in one of our competition winners during the World Cup, is at the Bay Oval and says, sends in a photo saying, Bay Oval, beautiful scenery, but only in some parts. Harry Everett says, I snuck into Old Trafford almost were leaving earlier this summer.
Well outside the off stump, Saudi this time again. Slightly shorter length, no need to play at that. Dendy doesn't, and it's through the Watling, no run.
For the last 2 hours of Archer and Wood terrorising Afghanistan's rabbits in the headlights during the World Cup, on my way back from a shift at BBC Sport working on Wimbledon.
Oh, yeah, right.
Dutchbird Kate says, yes, I actually am there. Lovely ground, grass banks, booze, sun, proper cricket. Job done. We did see your flag, Dutchbird Kate, on TV earlier.
Ah, you got another flag then. Because you left that somewhere, didn't you? That's left alone outside the off stump by Dendy. Seems to shape away after it's gone past the stumps and there's no run. Can someone bring me another beer, please? Another IPA would be very nice. Punk.
Kunal Talani says, I mean, I don't want Burns or Denley to get out either, but it's Wagner and I need to see him bounce someone out. We'll have to wait a little while.
Well, actually, you want to watch Joffre, mate, because that'll be a bit more feisty, I reckon. He's already pinged somebody in this series, hasn't he? He concussed. Who did he concuss in the warm-up game?
He didn't concuss anyone, but he did hit Glenn Phillips on the head pretty hard in the New Zealand A game.
Southey in, stops his bat on it, but then he calls through for a single and it's been punched away, but they won't get a second. He basically defended that. I think it was a bit early on it because he kind of took the bottom hand off and stopped the bat on it, but it didn't go aerial back to the bowler. Southey couldn't stop it. Raced past the stumps, and I couldn't see who that was at mid-on, but came across, could only palm it past mid-off. Was it Wagner? Palmed it past mid-off, but Burns was slow off the mark.
Yeah, it's
so
quite funny because mid-off had come round to try and cover mid-on, who then punched it straight to where mid-off had run from. So it was all a bit of miscommunication. Anna Forsyth says, speaking of sneaking into cricket grounds, Wagner has the appearance of a Sunday League player who snuck into the Test team. Not a reflection of his performance, he just looks like that.
He's an unassuming looking man, I suppose. Burns defends again from the crease, out to cover. And there's no run.
Neil Wagner's got the best Test average of any of New Zealand's main fast bowlers. Average takes his wickets at 27 and 20 at home in the last few years. Messi Jez says, it's clear from his reaction to the LBW appeal that Trent Bolt's mouth has shrunk even more. He's going to have trouble even breathing soon.
Well, yeah.
Well, he's got a nose as well.
Yeah, I suppose he can breathe through that. He seemed like a nice guy when they were interviewing this morning on the telly.
Yeah.
I do like the Kiwis. I think everyone likes the Kiwis. Everyone's got a spot.
Was it Trent Bolt yesterday who said, I'll just wait till after this ball?
Southey is up to the crease and through the keeper. There's no run. I was reading an interview with Kane Williamson in The Guardian today. Interestingly, the ICC have already decided to change the the count back rule.
That was pretty much done straight after.
It was, wasn't it?
No, but Trent Bolt said he was fairly sure that they wouldn't have a super over in a Test match.
No,
having had 2 in a row.
It does seem a little bit unfair that they keep asking New Zealand players about that. What are they meant to say?
Well, I know. I mean, the thing is, I like the fact he was really philosophical about it. Said like, well, they probably all sat around the table, no one ever expected it to happen, and it did. And them's the rule. So there's nothing you do about it. Driven expansively out by Burns. Again, it was long, full, and wide outside the off stump, tempting that shot, and he did chase it. Skewed off the outside half his bat. It was aerial, but didn't go to anyone. It didn't go anywhere near anyone. It kind of went out over point, and the Ravela's out on the point boundary, and it dropped well before him. That's a single to end the over. He'll retain the strike. I'm out of here. We've got a 3-man change coming in. We've got Hendo, Jason. I think Steve is coming back. I will see you later. I've got a double stint on the last 4 hours of the 2 hours of this game. Not before, but I will see you later.
Meantime, I'm going to play you a little message asking for some money.
Yep, you owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills, so please go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there is literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
It'd be kind of nice if Rihanna was a patron of Gorilla Cricket, because I'm sure we'd be raking it in by now. Well, I'm back, Gorilla Hendo, Cat Sitting Hendo. You may know me by many names, and on my left, Tim Part.
Hello again.
Is there to impart his wisdom.
Oh, hey.
And on my right, it's Jason G. Hiscox. He's
Hello.
back. He's back. Now, I was just thinking that to be a good opener, you need to be able to leave the ball quite well, but also you need to be able to play and miss quite well. And Rory Burns has done that quite successfully today.
Quite frequently.
Quite frequently indeed. And he's also edged one that should have been caught by either Ross Taylor at second slip or Tom Latham at third, but they watched it go between them. In the meantime, Joe Denley has been playing some coruscating pull shots and hooks against Neil Wagner, who bowled, was it 12 overs either side of lunch, I think I just saw. And he's now taking a little bit of a rest, as are all the players, as drinks are brought onto the field. Have we got any tweets? I'm just keep looking at that picture of us on Crick Tracker or YouTube, and it actually looks like we're in a beautiful place.
It does.
Doesn't it? It's got the mountain and the sea behind us.
Yep.
If you haven't joined us on YouTube, where you can see us as well as hear us, please come along.
Tweets. Anna Forsyth is a big fan of the Trent Bolt jingle. She sent us a gif of Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dancing, doing his little jam.
I'm glad you knew who that was. I had no idea.
Popular cultural references, Hendo.
Indeed.
Kunal Talani has been comparing Stark and Bolt's over rate. He said they both start at the same time. Bolt's done, one remaining for Stark. Stark takes a lot of time to get back to his mark.
That is interesting, isn't it?
He's one of these bowlers who steams in from a mile away.
This is
for
true.
no apparent reason whatsoever.
And Trent Bolt's got this short but quite
rapid,
whippy.
Yes. Little, I don't know what you like a rabbit? No, not like a rabbit. Like, I don't know. No, rabbits hop, don't they? So it's not really. Oh, we got another of those men in parachutes. What do they call that? Paragliding.
Is that one of the ones with like a motor, a big fan on your arse?
Yeah, I think it is.
Blows you
Yeah,
around,
I saw someone doing that on holiday in the Canary Islands, and his parachute collapsed.
Oh,
but he did this magnificent
death spiral
down onto the beach. Yes, absolutely, and landed on his feet. Would you believe?
They do get taught how to do that.
Yeah, I suppose they do. But I mean, you know, when
I remember I was a very, very young kid going to Culdrose Naval Air Force Base in Cornwall,
right,
and watching the Royal Navy display team, which is a helicopter display team, taking their helicopters up to 1,500 feet and then just turning the engine off.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
And auto-rotating landing and doing it time after time.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the notion of training, but sort of putting yourself in that position in the first place, I mean, it's no good training if you've died on the training flight, is it? Anyway, Trent Bolt will continue as the drinks break comes to an end. He's running in left arm over the wicket to Rory Burns, and Burns is in behind a straight one, defending straight back to the bowler, and there is no run. 102 for 1 is the England score. We've had, 42.1 overs so far.
13 in that hour.
Just 13. Well, we haven't seen any spin. We haven't seen anything of Mitchell Santner yet. A lot of swing out there, and I suppose that's partly to do with the Kookaburra ball, maybe a rather sticky surface as well, it seems. Ball not always coming on. Here he comes again to Burns, and now that's hit him high up on the pad. It's worth a shout. Bruce Oxenshield. Or Shieldless says not out, that's too high.
Just outside, perhaps.
I would have thought.
Well, no, they're going to review it this time.
Gone for the big T.
Yep, they have indeed. We've got a jingle to mark that as well. So the first review of the day.
That was out, that was definitely out.
Was that definitely out?
No. So they all congregate in the middle of the pitch and wait to see. Certainly not a no ball. He's in fact about 8 inches, his front foot, behind the front line there. So no problems with that. It's a bit of a scrambled seam. Ooh, it looks high. It's hit the back leg.
Umpires call at best, I'd say.
Ooh, I don't know. That's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean,
depends how much of a stride he got in as to where that is in comparison to the
it is
stumps.
back.
Well, it's hit the back. It's hit the thigh pad, but just above the pad.
I reckon umpires call on whether it's hitting off point of impact outside off?
I think it's probably impacted him just in front. Just enough of the ball there, I think.
Maybe, yeah. Going to be close.
There's nothing on Snicko. We're going to see now, front on.
Yeah.
And here it comes, and it is umpire's call. So Burns, who's been a little bit fidgety, a little bit...
Oh, he's a lucky boy, though. That's very close.
A little bit
millimetres.
inconsistent. Yeah, he's going to get away with that, so good decision from the umpire. And it remains not out, not out, not out. But pretty tight, you have to say. And just things not quite going for New Zealand here. They've got to keep plugging away. Saw another view of Dutchbird Kate's flag in the background. And Burns settles down, chewing gum beneath that helmet. And he gives him a full Yorker, really. I thought for a moment a slower ball, but not really. 138 miles an hour. He digs it out into the offside, and there is no run.
Ross McD says hello on Twitter. Says good morning from Korea.
You're back in Korea.
Doesn't say whether it's naughty Korea or nice Korea.
Naughty Korea, I like that idea.
He said good start for England, although he'd prefer not to have the helicopter discussions because he's a Leicester City fan.
Oh, yes, okay, understand.
Yep.
Full again, dug out once more, this time into the onside, straight to mid-wicket, where Santner, I think it is, does the fielding, and there is no run. I think that was a no ball, wasn't it? Did I just see the umpire as he walked back towards the stumps signalling no ball? Shall find out in a minute if the score has risen by 1.
Various people joining us on Facebook as well. Avishek Sen sends us Spider-Man, good to see. S.A. Rafsan sends us a middle finger, good to see.
Very nice.
And Sharjil Legari says 350. I presume that's runs rather than our combined age.
Could be either.
Yep.
This time there is going to be a run. It wasn't a no ball, the previous ball. This has worked quite nicely between mid-wicket and mid-on. Allows Rory Burns to come through to pick up his 45th run. Now within 5 of what would be 5th Test 50. Slightly fortuitous one, should it arise, but he's battling away. 45 of 130 balls. Joe Denley has now come down to face. He's on 32 from 64. Just a bit more cloud over the back of the industrial estate. In he comes again, bowls to Denley. Denley squeezes it out square on the offside, just will get a single as fielder moves round from cover. And England moved to 104 for 1. 2 runs off the over.
I still haven't winged myself off the one-day stuff. I keep on thinking he's 1 hit away from a half-century. Well, he is 1 hit away from a half-century, but he's not going to do it.
I'm not sure how many sixes, if any, he's hit in his fledgling Test career so far. It's an amazing fact that Tim Southey has hit something like 60 sixes in Test cricket.
Has he?
61, I think it is.
Rapidly running up the list. I think he's
fantastic.
He's certainly in the top 10. He might even be.
Just check my notes. I did make a note of it. I think he's. No, I haven't made a note of it. So there you go. That's no good. But I did notice it as I was doing some background. Change of bowling. Colin de Grandhomme, 9 overs, 2 maidens. The only wicket taker. 1 for 19. He's got 2 slips in the gully. We'll jingle him up in a moment. He's coming in. Bowls to Denley, and Denley was in position for that very early. It was back of a length, and he's of no great pace to Grandhomme. He had to wait for it in the end and just play it into the offside.
I turned to look, but I was gone. I cannot see my own reflection now. My body's gone, my face is gone.
De Grandhomme offers up half volley outside off stump that is hit quite nicely by Denley. Just a little bit of tailing away at the last moment, so ended up reaching for it a bit, controlled the shot, but didn't place it particularly well. Straight to the man at extra cover. Turns again, comes in, bowls, and Denley is outside the off stump to one that's a little bit quicker, but he's of no great pace. 120.1 k's per hour. Denley 33, Burns 45. Colin de Grandhomme is very different in build and very different in pace, but his action is a dead ringer for Craig White.
Yeah, he is. He's a bit more burly, isn't he?
Certainly a lot more burly,
Okay, right.
and nothing like as quick. But here he comes again, in, bowls. Oh, and now Denley aims a drive. Again, suspicion that this pitch is a little bit slow, so he ends up getting an inside edge behind square
He's
leg.
either a slow Craig White or a fast Anthony McGrath.
That's somewhere between the two.
Yeah.
Yes, Yorkshiremen both as well. As that brought him a single, as he reached for that. And England moved to 105 for 1. England fan is absorbed by a book.
By one Nora Roberts.
Who is Nora Roberts? Is
Roberts.
Is she a good writer? Anyone know?
I don't. I suggest probably not, given her name is in very large silver letters on the front of the book.
It's a giveaway,
as
isn't
opposed to the title. Always a giveaway.
Full ball. And once more Burns drives at this, but the ball doesn't come in as much as he's expecting, and he's beaten by it again through to the keeper, BJ Watling. It's I don't know, something about Burns is, as well as he bats, as well as he grinds it out, you just feel that you never quite feel that an innings of his has been a great thing to watch. But here he is again, facing up to Colin de Grandon, and he's beaten again. He just hangs the bat out at that one. It was a good length delivery, and he's shrugging his shoulders and sighing and wondering what is he doing wrong. I'm not quite sure, but hang on in there, and it all might come good in the end.
You're saying he's more artisan rather than artiste.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That's the other thing the openers have got to do, just forget about it, haven't they? Sigh, shrug the shoulders.
A selective memory is a very good thing in an
absolutely.
I have a memory of a Graham Fowler innings. I think it was Lord's. I think it was the Lord's Test when West Indies ended up getting 314 for 1 to win, and he ended up getting 100, Graham Fowler, but he played and missed an awful lot. That said, it's easy to play and miss against an attack like the one the West Indies had that day. But I think it is
been
84, yeah. Trent Bolt, none for 22 from 10 overs. Southey, none for 21 from 12 overs. And in comes Bolt again, starting his 11th over. Bowls to Denley. Denley plays that nicely, finds not so much a gap, but just to the left of the man at mid-off, so he's got time to come through for the single.
We've got Kunal Talani doing a passable impression of a remote Bill Frindle. So he says, Tim Southey has 71 sixes in 68 matches, 98 innings. He's 15th on the all-time list and rapidly climbing. Thus his nickname, Sixer Southey, and he adds most sixes for any current player. So
is that right?
Active player, yeah.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
It really is. He's actually a very attractive batsman to watch if he, if you have a chance. I mean, it's normally quite short and sweet, but while it lasts, it's fun. Bolt into Burns, who meets this nicely and drives down the ground towards mid-on, who scarpers across to his right to field. There is no run.
Yeah, going back to that 84 test, that would have had 3 fast bowlers and 1 fast medium bowler probably.
I'm trying to think of what the lineup was. Would it have been Garner?
No, I think Garner was probably gone by then.
Was Garner gone by then?
I think it's Marshall, Holding, Baptiste.
Now that's nicely flicked away off his hip by Burns. He's only going to get 1. He's going to come back for the second. He'll have to hurry.
Easy.
But the fielder was slightly off balance as he threw there. So comfortable enough in the end. 47 to Burns.
And one other. Well, it won't be Croft.
Too late for Roberts. Who could the other one be?
I'm afraid I was 2 years old in 1984, so I'm not going to be much help.
Yeah. I'm sure you've searched back.
But then again, the West Indies had a panel.
What do you take me for? Of course I've searched back all these scorecards.
In a podcasting career.
Absolutely.
The West Indies did have a panoply of fast bowlers at that time.
Sure.
Beautifully timed this time by Burns. That might be a 50. He's going to have to hurry, but he'll come back for the third. It doesn't need to because it's sped away to the boundary. Burns has a 5th Test 50 to go with his 100, and England are 112 for 1.
Well done. 50 runs, your 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
135 balls, 3 hours and 14 minutes. Bolt bowls again, back of a length, wide of the off stump, left alone by Burns, who now needs to take guard again and try and push on to 100. Takes his average up above 30, 31.38, highest of 133. That was in the first test, wasn't it, of the Ashes series at Edgbaston. It's always good to get 100 in the first test of an Ashes series. That sort of lays a foundation.
It's a match in which England were on top for 4 days and still lost.
Yeah, that's right. Oh God, don't. Yeah. Bolt again, full on the leg stump, whipped away down to long leg. Patel hurls the ball well over the top of Watling. He was racing to get to the stumps, but well backed up. They just get the single. That is the end of the over.
With impeccable timing as ever, Ravi Nair says, Nick Compton, watching Burns, is probably singing Joni Mitchell, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone," wishing he'd been given a chance now.
Yes, well,
another batsman on the landfill of England openers.
He probably wishes he'd never listened to Trevor Bayliss as well.
Yeah, I suppose, as much as anything, it's about getting a chance at the right time, isn't it? For any, certainly opening batsman. That said, several of them have been given 7 tests to prove themselves. Sibley's the man who's gone. He made 22, caught Ross Taylor, bowled de Grandhomme off 63 balls. In comes de Grandhomme, bowling, and he's edged that one this time, I think. And Burns is on his way. He just pushed out at that one once too many times, and England have lost their second wicket. Just bowling that across the left-hander. Just held its line. What is he doing? He doesn't really need to be playing at that. And it's the lesser pace of Colin de Grandhomme that is proving successful today as he celebrates that wicket. Burns has gone then for 52. Caught Watling, bowled de Grandhomme. And it's a shame he couldn't push on.
Yeah, lesser pace, but more consistency. He's bowling more balls in the right areas.
Well, he certainly is. If Burns is going to play at all those ones outside off stump, I don't really think he needs. I mean, that was a nothing shot, really, wasn't it? He wasn't going to get runs for it. No.
Burns does have this kind of technical flaw outside off stump where he only goes halfway with his front foot and then chases the ball with his hand slightly.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of players like that these days, I think. To be fair. But I kind of feel that New Zealand have got what they deserved there because Burns has got a little bit fortunate. And it means that coming to the crease will be none other than the England captain.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pick, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
So it's a pair of Joes in the middle. Joe Denley and Joe Root. Root just taking guard. And I was thinking to myself the other day, this seems a while ago that Joe Root was considered one of the 4 best batsmen in the world, one of the big 4. And he's dropped to number 7 in the rankings. Didn't have a particularly impressive Ashes, although ball was regularly on top of bat, apart from Steve Smith's bat.
450s.
He got 450s, but I think only averaged, 29, something like that. De Grandhomme then into Root, and Root aims a drive at this one and doesn't time it. Comes off a thick inside edge all the way back to the bowler, and there is no run. Yep, just a fish one too many times by Burns. And a very comfortable catch.
There's a telltale immediate look behind to the keeper.
Indeed. It's often a giveaway. In again to Root. Root goes back looking for singles. He tucks this away to mid-wicket, won't get it. And the score remains 113 for 2. De Grandhomme. Has he had that beard for long, Colin de Grandhomme?
No, he's always had the sort of the tea strainer on top. The
swarthy looks.
But there's the stubble underneath is
it's expanding, isn't it? He's in again, bowls to Root. Root drives pleasantly up to mid-off.
As long as it's the only thing that is expanding.
Well, yes, exactly.
rather than doing the full Ian Botham.
Yeah, he looks like he could go to seed quite quickly, Colin de Grandhomme, if he's not being very active. Anyway, it's a lovely day in Maunganui. And de Grandhomme is in again, back of a length this time, and that's a rather adventurous shot from Root. He plays that little sort of brush shot off the back foot, trying to work it away through the gully slips area. And I wonder whether he needed to play it at this stage of the game. Anyway, it's straight to the man there, in that position, and there is no run.
Couple more advances on Southey. Gordon Anderson says Reece Southey and sixes from memory hit 9 of them on debut, ending up on 77 odd out. Ross McD having a ball return to his tweet after this ball.
De Grandhomme in again to Root. Root leaves one that swings quite early, well wide of off stump.
Budding Southey-based global bromance going on here between multiple tweeters. He says, I remember that debut Southey blitz, felt at first amused and actually afraid New Zealand might get close to the improbable target, then breaks off to go, oh Rory, what have you done?
That was good fun, wasn't it, actually watching Tim Southey in that game. And he also, I think, didn't take a 5 for in that game as well. I think he did. So great, that really was one of the great debuts, I think. But, and he's gone on to be, I think, the 4th highest wicket taker in New Zealand history, just behind Trent Boult. And then, of course, you've got Vittori and Richard Hadley, of course, Sir Richard Hadley.
Where does Shane Bond end up on that?
Well, he had so many.
Only about 100 wickets.
Yeah,
he played about 20 Test matches.
So good.
He was so good. He was, a lot of injuries. Yeah. Saw him get a hat trick at Hobart against, might have been England in a triangular tournament in 2007. He was a fabulous bowler. Anyway, it's going to be Trent Boult to continue. He hasn't got a wicket today. Neither has Tim Southey. They haven't added to their collection. He's going to be bowling to Joe Denley. 2 slips. He's in full. That one did swing in. It was quite quick as well at 139 miles per hour, but Denley dug it out into the ground and then up into the hands of the bowler.
He seems to be bowling this full length, almost Yorker length at will now.
Yeah.
After bagging it in for the better part of his first spell.
Well, also I think his first spell he just didn't seem to be at full pace to me. He just, as I said at the time, he seemed to be bowling within himself really, just easing himself into the game. Denley settles down again and he's in. That's another good ball, but he pushes into the onside. Pick up a single to mid-on, running round to his right. The score moves on to 114 for 2. Denley to 36. Brings Root down to face the left armour for the first time. And Denley is just going about his business, walking out of his crease at the non-striker's end, just prodding at the pitch. Joe Root is just scuffing away at his guard, marking his position, and now looking around the field as the nominated shiner has passed the ball back to Boult and has it in his hands. He turns at the top of his run, scampers in to bowl to the England captain, and the England captain was almost tempted into playing at that one outside the stump. At the last moment he left it, and it was just a knowing look from Trent Boult, as if to say, I nearly lured you into that one, didn't I? But fortunately for Root, he didn't go through with a shot. Score remains 114 for 2. The run rate's almost up at 2.5. This is the way we've been crying out for England to play, to a certain extent. And Boult is in again. He goes across his crease, Root, and then this one is fired way outside his off stump, and he leaves it alone. And there is no run.
Anna Forsyth on tweets. She says, I've just realised Colin de Grandhomme looks like a mixture of Eric Cantona and Sam the Eagle from the Muppets.
I see the Cantona reference. Yes, that's a very good point, actually.
Just before he got out, I was thinking, with all the zinc cream on his face, Rory Burns looked like Stephen Dorff from the first Blade film. If that's another pop culture reference, Hendo, I'll fill you in later, don't worry.
Roots onto the back foot to this one, defends into the offside. Blade, was that the thing with Wesley Snipes?
Yeah, vampires with Wesley Snipes. There you go, you're all over this, Hendo.
Yeah. I mean, some people might have thought you meant Blade Runner, but no, I knew enough to be able to say it was Wesley Snipes.
Which I was working. The Blade Runner soundtrack is great for working to. I was doing it today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very relaxing.
Vangelis one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the new one, actually. I saw the film for the first time, and that soundtrack's awesome too.
Blade Runner 2049.
Indeed.
Root then steadies himself, waits for the final ball of the over. It's full, and he drives a little bit uppishly. It's not that far short of Colin de Grandhomme in the gully. but he gets away with it, doesn't get a run. That is the end of the over, just a single from it. England 114 for 2.
If you are still up, please do keep the tweets coming in, comments coming in. We have Saifullah Stanikzai joins us on Crick Tracker. Hello. Yes, we do have time to read the comments. As soon as they come in, we will do it. And Nissa Ahmed says, "You are the man." I presume he's talking to me, but we'll take it as you will.
Do you mean me?
Who knows? Who knows? We're all the man.
We are the men.
We're all the man. Stick it to the man. F the man. There we go. We're the man.
Indeed. Colin de Grandon then, 11 overs, 2 for 20. I mean, let's think about it. Colin de Grandon, of course, who bowled exceptionally well in the World Cup final, didn't he? Was it 1 for 25?
Yeah.
10 overs. That's what looked like he'd done enough for New Zealand with that particular spell. He's going to continue then to Denley. He's got a short extra cover, shortish anyway, 2 slips. He's in and he offers him one way outside the off stump. I think he just got that a little bit wrong. And Denley, quite rightly, had nothing to do with it. Would have been stretching had he tried to cut that. And raise the eyebrows by de Grandon as he to his man at mid-on.
Mixture of a grin and a grimace. It's
yes.
A grimace.
A grimace. That's a very good word.
I've got a further advance Colin de Grandon. Gerard Butler as a farmer.
Yes, I see your point. He's in again, bowls, back of a length, fiddled out into the offside, rather ungainly shot really from Denley, but perfectly acceptable really. No danger that he would get out to it. Yes, Gerard Butler, yes. Gerard Butler's in awful films, isn't he?
He is. Because he's an awful actor.
Well, he's always in these
Something has fallen.
Olympus has fallen. London has. That is a dreadful film. Full, driven, but not with any timing by Denley. He's a little bit annoyed, I think, with himself there. Up to mid-off, no run.
But for some reason, he gets to act with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's just not fair, is it? Yeah.
I wonder how Morgan Freeman feels being second on the bill behind Gerard fucking Butler.
Yeah.
Well, he is.
I presume the money makes up for it.
75, 80 now.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman is he really?
He is, he's old.
Now that almost got through the defences of Joe Denley. He came forward, but he left a little bit of a gap, and it caught the inside edge onto his pad rod out into the onside. Does tend to leave a bit of a gap, and I think Colin de Grandon has spotted that. He's going a little bit wider on the crease, maybe trying to get that ball to just nibble back, and maybe that's what it did on that occasion. Denley settles down again and waits for de Grandon, and he defends this one a little bit shorter, but still on the front foot towards mid-wicket, and there is no run.
I think that might be the long-term game plan against Joe Denley, is to bowl wide, make him chase the ball, and then bring one back in and see if he can get it through the gate that he's now created by throwing his hands at all the wide balls.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good point, I think. In comes de Grandon again, bowls, and he clips this one sweetly, but straight to mid-wicket, all the way along the ground, and there is no run. It's a maiden from de Grandon. Score remains 114 for 2.
A couple of people joining us on Crick Tracker. Hello to Priyanshu Tyagi. Hello. And Shahadat Hassan says, no one can stop English batsmen. Well, I refer you to the Ashes, where they very much could.
Yeah, and quite a lot of games actually in the last 2 or 3 years. Have we got anyone on YouTube, I wonder?
No, it's all very quiet on YouTube.
It's all gone quiet on YouTube.
It's all a bit quiet on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
No, we read that last one from Paul Tonkington. A couple more tweets coming in. Anna Forsyth says, I have a photo of me with the Blade Runner 2049 Oscar for VFX. I worked as a receptionist for the studio here in Vancouver. That project was a pain in the arse to book travel for, so felt like I'd earned my share of it.
Oh yeah, fair point.
Totally. Des says, I think de Grandon is a dead ringer for Duncan Bannatyne.
Duncan Bannatyne, isn't he one of the
He's one of the Dragons, yeah.
He is.
For that reason, I'm out.
I'm trying to think which one. I'm trying to think which one he means.
It's the grumpy Scottish one
with loads and loads of health clubs.
Yeah.
I think I know who you mean, but could be. Bolt starting his 13th over, coming in to bowl to Root, and he's got a leg slip in, but this is way outside the off stump, and he just leans into a check drive up to mid-off, and there is no run.
There really is very little to hit at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think it is quite difficult to get de Grandon away, isn't it? There's no pace on the ball, really. Even with someone like Bolt, who bowls at around 136, 137, it does seem like a slightly slow pitch.
Yeah, timing seems to be an issue, because
no
one seems to, apart from the pulls, seems to be getting the ball away.
Again, Root leans into this, but doesn't time it particularly well. Ball runs towards extra cover, and there is no addition to the score.
Steve Aldersley on Twitter ups the stat stakes.
Oh.
He says 10 of Denley's 17 test innings have been against Australia, so not the easiest schedule. However, this is only the 5th time he has scored more test runs than his age, but he averages 75.5 in those innings.
Well, there you go.
Well, yeah, he's nailed
stat.
on for a 75.5 today.
There you go. In again to Root on just pressuring him around about off stump. He's onto the front foot, defends a good length delivery into the covers. Yes, I don't know. Denley's copped quite a bit of criticism, but I think he's done pretty well.
Yeah, not the easiest situation to come in, really.
I do think, though, that he misses out on runs, actually, certainly early in his innings. Seems to hit the field quite a lot. Plays some pleasant strokes, but doesn't place the ball perhaps as well as he might. Root just looking around as Bolt is in and then fiddles this off the back foot into the covers, and there is no run. Right, I can bring you news about the tome that the England fan was reading. Nora Roberts, whose book was being read by that woman in the crowd, is a romance author, has written over 225 novels. What the fuck? What the hell? That is unbelievable. But back to the cricket, as Bolt is in, and a fluent drive played by Joe Root this time, but although it looked good, it went straight to Minoff, and there is no run. This is the first time England's first and second wickets have both put on 50 plus since the Oval Test against India in 2018, i.e. this is the first time they've done it since Alistair Cook retired. There you go.
Well, there we go.
The facts are pouring in. They're pouring in, I tell you, and they've all been verified by Tory Central Office, so they must be true. Final ball of the over, final ball of our spell, and he's in. Root goes back. Is he going to get a run here this time? No, he's not. There's de Grandhomme in the gully again, just swooping to his right, and he remains not out of 15 balls. 114 for 2 is the score. Denley has 36, and soon, or in a minute in fact, it will be the mighty Tony Bishop, Steve Jones, and someone else.
Well, no, it'll be me moving seats. We'll just have a little bit of a chat whilst we're doing that.
The best things in life are free. Just like Gorilla Commentary, we need money. That's what I want. We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Gorilla Commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want.
It's the big man, Colin de Grandhomme from Harare, 33 years old. And he was in to Denley, just pushed this away into the offside. Again, there is no run. He's done the damage so far, though, as de Grandhomme. He's removed the Epsom and Whitgift pair of both Burns and Dom Sibley. He's in again. And once again, very solidly forward and away into the offside from Denley. 114 for 2. Anna Forsyth has qualified her tweet earlier. Says, actually, scratch that. That's a complete lie. It was the first man Oscar that she was holding up.
Oh,
for special effects.
I thought she meant the one where, as I wait, as his right arm over and in is de Grandhomme. And again, very correctly forward and just pushed away to cover by Joe Denley. I thought you were referring to the tweet that likened Colin de Grandhomme to sort of a mix of Eric Cantona and Sam, the American Eagle from the Muppets, which I think is uncannily accurate. I think it's also the way he wears his collar up that gives him that sort of Cantona-esque look.
Hawkish look.
The 2 slips go down, and once again, though, Denley is forward to push this away into the offside. De Grandhomme, of course, 6 for 51, his best figures. 6 for 41, I beg his pardon. Which he got on his debut, I think.
Yeah, I think I was watching that. I was laid up, as I often am in the winter period in recent years.
In he comes again, and once again, this time the bat's dropped on this. They will take a single. It's pushed away just to backward a point, and that will get Joe Denley moving again. It'll bring Joe Root, who's yet to score off 15 deliveries. It'll bring him back onto strike. Yeah, the 6 for
against
41.
Pakistan
in, was it Christchurch? It was on his debut. It was definitely on his debut.
and I have a feeling it was in Christchurch in
Mm,
2016. I think he bowled them out almost in a session to win the match.
He did. They won by 8 wickets. I do know that. Joe Root, anyway, crouchy stance that he has, and he's able to just leave this well wide of his off stump, and so he will stay marooned yet to get his score moving.
Very
But the important thing is still
isn't it?
well.
He normally gets his score.
He likes to get off the mark quite quickly.
Well, normally the thing with Root, isn't it, Jason, is and we always mark it. I mean, we all do, not just you and me. But we always say about Root, you suddenly haven't really thought about
You look up and he's got 30
and you
runs.
look up and he's got 30 or 40, and you work. But that's definitely not the case today.
Well, I'm getting the feeling this is a very difficult wicket to play yourself in on.
Well, certainly Gronto with his
because pretty much every batsman who's been out there
Well,
has
that's
spent
right.
a long period just passing the ball back whilst he's got the pace of the wicket.
But it's going to be Trent Boult again. I don't think that's a change of bowling, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No. His very small embouchon mouth. And forward comes Denley.
Do you want the jingle?
No, you're all right. Forward comes Denley again. That's just pushed away into the offside. There's no run. If Roger is listening, he'll be able to tell me if I've got the name right. The embouchon, isn't that the positioning of the lips for a reed instrument or a trumpet?
Since I have never tried to do anything with any of those,
I must be close. It's something like that, but I'm not entirely sure I've got it right. This one is left arm over the wicket to the right-handed Denley. Very stands tall, upright, correct to just push that away back towards the bowler. Once again, there's no run.
Back to Victoria has joined us. He says, "Morning, Gorillas. Joining you from very warm Singapore. I only just got up. Can you give a brief recap of the cricket, please? Because this is not being shown on the TV."
We can. It's 115 for 2. And Denley is on 37. He's facing. He lets this ball go wide of his off stump through to BJ Watling. The 2 wickets to fall were Dom Sibley for 21, if I'm right.
Like that, yes, 21, 22.
And then comparatively recently, Rory Burns had made his 50, but he didn't really go beyond that. Both of those fell to Colin de Gondom. So it's been rather slow, measured progress by England. Sibley will, I think, be disappointed. He just got slightly drawn into a ball outside of his off stump, didn't he? As in comes Boult round the wicket this time. Very full and inside edged onto his pad by Denley. He won't be happy with that. That seems to completely flummox him.
Edges, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I mean, there's still just that bit of movement in the air. It doesn't seem to be that quick, does it? Even the bouncers that Wagner was dropping in as
not getting up a lot, and there was one or two
elements
of Bolt had a couple quite low ones, didn't he?
A couple of tennis ball bounce occasionally for Wagner, although he did kiss the top of Rory Burns' helmet as Bolt is in left arm over.
I should say with the cricket ball,
with
not with his embouchon.
Not with his embouchon. No, that would have been Trent Boult.
Quite distressing.
Quite distressing, and unfortunately not something I'd ever wish to commentate on. 115 for 2. We're 50 overs, so it really should be the time to make hay. But the thing is, the Kookaburra ball, once it reaches 50 overs, it's not necessarily this hard to spank away to the boundary either, is it? Because it's soft. Maybe you don't get quite the same purchase as a batsman. This is dropped. The bat dropped on it by Denley. It's away to extra cover, and they will take a single. The backing up done there by
just
the
watching
man from
that. I was remembering the last time the two Joes batted together in the summer when Denley was absolutely kippered by Mr. Root.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Because Joe Root seemed to start off very slowly. Then have to put on the afterburner to get down the other end in good time.
Well, which game was that? I know Root, of course. What did he get? 57 and 21 he got at the Oval, didn't he?
I'm not sure it was the last game. It might have been the penultimate game.
71, but a duck at Old Trafford.
Anyway, talking about Joe Root himself, it says TMS says, Professor Cooper, Kane Williamson has the worst DRS record of any Test captain, 7 out of 57, whereas Root has the best of any captain, who has more than 30 reviews.
In comes to Grandon bowling from the... did we say it was the Bay end? Oh, the Mount end. Mount.
That said, Root's review
Maunganui.
success rate is only
No,
29%. So that's still not great.
No, that
on
is
a
true.
50-50 bet.
This partnership is 3 off 36 balls. All 3 of which, if I told you Joe Root has none off 16, you will have worked out pretty quickly, have gone to Joe Denley. 116 for 2, we're in the 52nd over. Again, that was a bit floaty from de Grandon.
In the block hole, though.
Yeah, it was, and Denley almost had to wait for it. It's been an interesting mix, but only 2 for 21 off 13 overs. That's
They're really
phenomenally
finding
economical.
difficult, aren't they, to get away?
They are, and he's.
Ball's not
It's
coming
interesting
on.
how he's proven to be the more successful of the bowlers, isn't it? With just not having that extra pace. I don't think
it's not the
pitch
pace,
is
it's
just
the
not giving
accuracy.
enough.
I think that he's in general.
No,
doing.
absolutely right, Jason. And that one is again slightly fuller, but just clipped away into the leg side by Denley. He will move on to 39. Joe Root, who's still striving to get himself off the mark, will continue that mission.
Inside edge here again, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh, it was.
Through his
actually,
legs, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he does have
Nutmeg,
his-
did he nutmeg himself?
I think so, yeah.
He did
Did.
nutmeg himself. As, in comes de Grandon. This time he gets a little bit more efficiently behind it to push it away to leg, but once again there's no run route.
Messages says, my mind was somewhat boggled when I saw on Betfair that the total amount bet simply with Betfair for this game is already over 15 million, about £8 million.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
He's just talking about the amount of money that gets bet on cricket matches nowadays.
Oh, that's
God knows
huge.
how
I would
much there is
imagine.
across all the bookies.
That one was wide and going wider from de Grandon, and Joe Root, well, he would have been very foolish indeed if he wanted to try and cut that and use that to get himself off the mark. because
Didn't
it
stop
just
Rory
wasn't
Burns.
worth chasing.
Didn't stop Rory Burns having an awful lot of attempts.
No, he did. I mean, I one of the virtues that I think we always espouse with Rory Burns is his classical patience as an opening bat. This one is driven straight to backward point, and again Joe Root's weight to get himself off the mark goes on. But yes, he did look like he was getting just a little bit fidgety today, didn't he, Burns? A bit cross with himself.
Yep,
He did have a let-off early on, of course, as well, didn't he? When
Well, it wasn't
they
quite-
didn't appeal and for what was proven to be a catch behind.
He was having a few of those unwise slashes, wasn't he? Side off stump.
He was having an old.
He was
unwise
just
slash.
replying to Anna Fozai says, I really enjoyed First Man.
Oh, right.
And Kun Solani says, thought I'd stay up for Root getting a run before heading to sleep, but it's already been half an hour. Why are England batting so sensibly again?
Well, you see, you can't win, can you? If let's say they were a few runs on, it was 146 for 7, we'd be absolutely vilifying them. So you've got to give it a time. We do have a change of bowling. It is going to be Mr. Wagner.
That's Neil Wagner. He's my boss. And when he takes 5 wickets in an over, it was Moida.
Woolley has again 2 slips and a gully, and this one is left alone, taken shoulder height by BJ Watling, and immediately you see that. You immediately see the extra bounce that Wagner is able to engender with that bit of extra pace. I think he's been a little bit unlucky, Wagner. He's beaten the bat a few times. He's yes, I mean he's been unfortunate just not to have claimed at least 1 wicket, I think, so far. None for 38 off just in beginning of his 13th over.
He has been well dispatched by Denley at the same time, though.
Well, he has. A number of pull shots were quite gorgeous, and again, Denley happy enough to leave this to go through. Lower this time, more sort of knee height for BJ Watling, who didn't have to wattle very far to get that into his gloves. 117 for 2.
What is to wattle anyway? Do we know?
To wattle.
To wattle is to isn't that to build with mud?
That's double T.
I think it is.
Wattle and daub. That's
Yeah.
double T, I think, isn't it?
But it is a verb. I wattle,
believe
you
so,
wattle,
yeah.
he wattles.
Yeah, he wattles
We
out.
are wattling.
Yes.
Indeed, he is wattling behind the stumps. This one is clipped off his legs and just back with a square leg. That's umpire Damascena. They've taken a single. So Denley will move on in increments of 1.
So it might be the New Zealand for
to
keeping
40.
wickets.
Could be.
Well, given
Could
the
be.
pronunciation, it could be anything. In
I was wattling behind the stumps the other day.
I should give out some shout outs to the people on Cricket Tracker.
Please do.
Atif Mahmood, Wesley Toussaint, Rahul Bawad, and Uma Ali. Welcome to you all.
Indeed, welcome. 118 for 2 is the state of play. We're in the 53rd over. The run rate, 2.25. I mean, that's not
Awful.
That's not
It's
ultra
not
slow.
what we're used to, is it?
But no. Wagner's in, left arm over, and again he's slanting this across the right-handed route. Who's
Even in test
happy
matches,
just to
they're
watch
nearer
that by.
three in a bit, aren't they? So
Yeah, well that's true. This is true. We're seeing some. But I think Ben Stokes might actually
You're
catch
falling asleep.
He was maybe just resting his eyes
reading the inside of his eyelids.
in a somnambulant posture.
I hope he's visualising Cape Town 2015-16.
Well, you want some action now, do you? As in comes Wagner. Ooh, and Root is in. Root is away. He's more than away because there's been a misfield. He's going to get 2 where he should have got 1. It was clipped away. And who is that?
Oh, was that Jeet Raval?
It is Jeet Raval, I think.
Yeah.
Poor chap. Well, it was nicely worked away off his legs by Root down to mid-on, who basically stepped over it, turned around, and then he was in such a hurry he then fell over backwards. So it's not an elegant piece of cricket. This one is edged straight by Root into the hands of third slip Tim Southey. England have lost their 3rd wicket. It was an absolute shocker by Root, who in truth had never really looked comfortable. And England are 120 for 3, and the captain has failed, I'm afraid. And Wagner finally has his man. It was Moida, and it was Moida for Joe Root. So he's caught Tim Southey. He was at 2nd slip, I beg your pardon, not 3rd. He's gone for 2. Bowled Neil Wagner, bowled from Neil Wagner, caught Southey.
Yeah, it was almost like fielding practice, that shot, wasn't it?
Well, it was one of those he was looking to sort of, I think he knew, he probably knew there were 2 slips there.
It's one of those little dab shots he tries to play through sort of
exactly.
that gully point area. And he just didn't quite get
everyone loves to see when they work
enough bat on it. It went finer to 2nd slip,
but not when it doesn't. Well, we've lost Joe Root, and all of a sudden, now
147 for 8 looks like it's.
Well, I don't think that's. I think that's not going to happen. But from an absolutely rock solid start, where England were just 1 down at lunch. 2 wickets in this afternoon session. We're kind of edging towards tea, aren't we? How far are we? Probably 10 minutes to tea. Will bring Ben Stokes. So if he was resting his eyes or catching 40 wickets, I hope he's woken himself up. Test average of 35, 3,593 runs for England. 58 matches and 105 innings. A career best, of course, which Jason was recalling fondly not too long ago. 258. In Cape Town, right? Was it Cape Town?
It was Cape Town.
Yeah, it was indeed.
I was
Cape Town.
there.
You were there. No wonder you were recalling it so fondly. Well, Colin de Grandhomme will have Stokes in his sight. 120 for 3 are England, and it's driven. Ooh, I say, and it was driven back, and de Grandhomme dropped a hand on it. Umpire Damascena wants to have a look. I think Denley had got his bat down.
I think it's Stokes actually.
Was it Stokes?
Denley was batting. Yeah.
There's a name for that.
Stokes is left-handed.
Well, yes, absolutely right. Paul Wilson is the 3rd umpire. It was Ben Stokes, and his bat is down, solid. We did have to think about it, but So there will be nothing to see.
Shall I jingle up, Ben?
I think you absolutely should. Which one have we got?
I got up Ben Stokes, and he calls me a...
De Grandhomme is in. And Denley is forward. He just pushes it away to the offside. There's no run. And we missed, sadly, the rest of the colourfully bleeped Ben Stokes jingle. A new book to promote, of course, and he has been promoting it. Talked a lot, I believe, about David Warner needling him and thus inspiring him there at Headingley. Onto the back foot goes Denley, pushes it back to de Grandhomme, who continues in his unerringly accurate way. 2 for 22, which should be said in a Richie Benno accent. I do realise that. Off 14 and a half overs now for him.
Steve Alders,
quite superb performance by de Grandhomme.
Makes a point about the pitch being not particularly easy. He says 16 maidens and only 15 boundaries so far.
In comes de Grandhomme, right arm over, and he drops in a bouncer actually this time. Well, there was a sort of a lobby sort of bouncer, wasn't it? It wasn't one that reared up from a length.
He said he wasn't expecting it.
And no, I don't think so.
Colonel Talani has reached his limit. He says, finally, that's me. Good night, gorillas. See you tomorrow, or not. Have an exam day afterwards. We'll tune in soon.
Well, thank you for your company.
And Anna Forsyth says, love that you debate what wattling is when ignoring the obvious. You're classy guys.
I see. I don't understand. Well, that was just pushed into the offside. Anna, have you gone somewhere gutter level in what you're thinking there? I've never heard it called wattling, if that's what you are thinking of. But there we go. Now you've got that. I'm now fixated on that thought. And I just hope I'm wrong. Anyway, de Grandhomme's in again. And Denley is forward and is pushed away once more into the onside this time by Denley. No run. 120 for 3. 2 for 22. Now 15 now by the frugal but effective 33-year-old from Herari, Colin de Grandhomme. He's going well. Jason, you have more.
Yes, Mog says in fairly Mog blunt style, time to bite the bullet and drop that shit truck route.
Well, yeah, he's it's not the start he would have wanted. He just somehow he never looked comfortable, did he? I think he was getting frustrated with himself, and it took so long. It took 20 odd balls for him to get off the mark. As we say, normally you look up and hey, Root's got 30. How did we get there?
And Ravinair joins in and says, the great thing about England is that, like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, they always have a potential batting collapse up their sleeves.
A rabbit in a hat and a collapse up a sleeve.
Yeah, so some mixed metaphors there.
Yeah, well, yes, I think we'll accept that at whatever time it is, at 2:30 in the morning. Though not where Ravi is, of course.
No, it'll be close to getting up time.
It will. Neil Wagner is going to continue anyway. His left arm over the wicket and left alone by Ben Stokes through to the wattler himself.
So how many balls Ben will face before he gets off the mark? So 10?
Well, I don't know. He doesn't like to hang around them. Well, actually, no. To be fair,
he did
Stokes is certainly in the Reece Stokes model.
In fact, they're showing us the heading there. It took ages to.
He did.
He got 135. Took ages to score any runs.
He did.
On the evening, he was
in comes Wagner.
2 not out of about 70 balls.
Left again by Stokes. As indeed it was perfectly acceptable to do. Short and wide of his off stump. 124-3.
And then he stage managed a 70-run partnership with Jack Leach for the for the win for the last wicket.
Indeed, 120 for 3.
Well played, Mr. Leach.
Yeah, that little clip to leg of his that
a bit of swing
he's been dining out on. 1 for 41 for Wagner. I've got to say, I think he did deserve that one. He's bowling from the city end. No, he's not. He's bowling from the
other end,
mountain end. And that one is short again. And Stokes is able to duck over and watch that over his right shoulder. And once again through to Watling. I was caught wattling behind the stumps. 120 for 3. No wickets for Bolt, no wickets for Southey. 2 for 22 for de Grandhomme and 1 for 41 for Wagner. De Grandhomme's economy rate just 1.5 or under 1.5. Quite superb. This one again left by Stokes. Wagner stops to have a little stare back down the track. You might want to think which battles you want to pick in the staring contests, Neil. Because Ben will give you as good as you get, I reckon. Fall of the wickets, 1 for 52, 2 for 113, and then 3 for 120. And England will want to reverse that trend, and these two will need to be looking to do that. As Wagner is in again, full, looking for that Yorker. Quite floaty, this one. And Stokes had to just marginally hurry, just to flick it away to mid-on. Nothing overly troubling for him, 120 for 3.
Despite the pitch being clearly not an easy one to play on, I think the boys are certainly playing for tea at the moment, aren't they?
Well, yes.
We've got probably one more over.
Let's see, where do we stand? Yeah, I think it would be one more. They get through them pretty quick. Wagner in again. Oh, and that one. Oh, it was just, I think, misjudged by Stokes. I think he started off thinking he was going to stand tall and drive it away through cover, and ended up changing his mind and leaving it.
Oh, he's bowled him the cutter.
It was a cutter, wasn't it? And it kept quite low as well on Stokes. Wagner has his hands on his head, but no damage done. But Stokes still yet to get off the mark. He has done 120 for 3, England. We've completed 55 overs. We suspect, as we look at high, fluffy clouds above the Bay Oval, and this will be the last over for tea. It's bowled by de Grandhomme. His first ball is pushed away to wide mid-off by Joe Denley. No run.
Very satisfying looking shot, wasn't it?
Yeah,
no runs.
It was.
Bearded Tit's not happy. He said, I've just cut short partying in Grenada to come back to listen to the ENG cricket, and I've met my Root's demise. Stupid bloody priorities.
Oh dear, who was that?
Bearded Tit.
I thought that's what it was, yep. That one is rather inside edgely away to leg by Joe Denley. He will get a single. Will they take 2? No, he'll just settle for the 1. He'll bring Stokes back onto strike. Trent Bolt is doing the fielding. Something has.
I think we've
something has tickled.
We've tickled the funny bone of our Twitterati. I think Monk said.
Dear.
Wattling, in filthy terms, sounds like it would have been something to do with scrotums, seeing as they kind of look like a turkey's wattle. To which Messages replied, "Load of gobblers."
Marvellous. Yes, you're right. The wattle is sort of kind of wrinkly and it's that dangly bit under the beak, isn't it? In comes de Grandhomme, and Ben Stokes is quite happy just to straight back to him. 121 for 3. Stokes yet to get off the mark. Denley looking solid enough on 41. He seemed to have a rush where he kept pulling Wagner, and then it's all gone rather quiet for him too, as this one is again just pushed back to the bowler by Ben Stokes. 2 balls left of this over. We're looking at the time. We pretty much suspect the call of the sandwiches and buns will be reaching the nostrils of those England batsmen, and suspecting they will turn and walk at the end of this over. This one is left wide outside of the off stump by Stokes through to BJ Watling.
Interesting change of line from round the wicket there.
Yes. They're trying. He's not.
They bowled it very wide.
Yeah, he's certainly prepared to try a number of things.
I wonder if it's a tactic to get people to chase it, but because they seem to do it too much to be accidental.
Round the wicket comes de Grandhomme. Forward comes Stokes, pushed to mid-on. There again is no run, and that should be the end of the over. And furthermore, it should be tea, we think. Indeed it is. So in this session, the run rate of just over 2 and over, 117 minutes. 2 wickets have fallen, 13.8 overs bowled, which is not too bad. 60 runs scored, and beg your pardon, 27 overs bowled, which is not too bad. 121 for 3 then, England at tea. 56 overs have been completed. We'll run you very quickly through the scorecard and any final tweets. Yes, we will, if I can just call it up here. Rory Burns, he succumbed to the bowling of Colin de Grandhomme, caught behind by BJ Watling for 52, having got to his 50. Sibley chased one, he'll probably slightly regret, outside of his off stump. He was caught by Ross Taylor at first slip off the bowling again of Colin de Grandhomme. Joe Denley is the not out batsman on 41. Disappointingly, the other Joe and captain Joe Root, he really just guided a fairly innocuous ball from Wagner straight to Tim Southey at second slip, and for a very slow, ponderous and scratchy 2 off 22. Ben Stokes yet to get off the mark. He's faced 10, 121 for 3 England. Pick of the bowling, without a doubt, 2 for 23 by Colin de Grandhomme off 16, 1 for 41 for Neil Wagner. No wickets for Bolt and Southey as yet. We shall just tidy up any tweet message or other messages, Chase.
Yep, just a couple of tweets. Mark Zip sends us a meme, which is it for Donald Trump being harangued, I think. He says this one's worthy of Mogg himself. And also Mogg, in relation to the talk about wattles and gobblers, says, you don't get this kind of shit on Sky or the BBC. They need to take note and do better on those shows. So that's a thumbs up from him.
Wattles and gobblers sounds like it should almost be a working men's club, like wheel tappers and shunter. I'm just off to the wattles and gobblers.
And then he also replies to the Trump meme thing. He says, with Trump it'd only be a single power chord song. Even then it might be too complicated for the oleaginous cyst.
It does rather help to see these memes before. Otherwise it's quite hard to follow the conversation, but I'll take your word for it. And do we other platforms?
We've had nothing on Quick Tracker for a while, and nothing really on YouTube, so I think we can go straight to tea.
Well, with that, we shall
do not pass go. Collect £200 if we could.
The bear will come in and line up some highlights, because he seems to be the only one who knows where they are. Or Knuckle. He'll be one of the more technically efficient members of the crew. Who's it going to be? Who's fastest first into the post? It's going to be Knuckle. Well, there's a shock. We will see you after tea.
In all 15 minutes time.
Well, they scored 100 with 7 overs, didn't they?